Hello, my name is Terry Barber, and I want to share a Eucharistic story that blew me away. After 44 years of going across the country teaching the Catholic faith to people, I'd always ask at different parishes what people believed about the Holy Eucharist. And about 90% of the people didn't understand that Jesus was there, body, blood, soul, and divinity. So my heart goes out to those people. I'm hoping that this story will light a fire in the Catholic Church to teach people reverence for the Blessed Sacrament and a knowledge of it. His story is taken from Bishop Athanasius Schneider's book, The Catholic Mass, page 289. He says, "In our own day, the Lord has given us many examples of Eucharistic saints and also Eucharistic miracles. But among them was Manuel Fodera, a Caesarean child from Italy, who died in the order of sanctity and whose life has been recounted on many websites. It was the day of his first Holy Communion. He was only 6 years old, but due to his alarming health conditions and his inestimable desire to receive the body of Jesus, the little boy obtained permission from the bishop to anticipate the sacrament of the Eucharist, which he would receive from the chaplain, Father Mario, in a small hospital chapel. The long-awaited day, however, did not bode well. When the young boy woke up, the child was visited by heavenly pains in his leg, so much so that he could not get out of bed, and he feared he would not be able to go to the chapel. Around midday, against all odds, the pain disappeared. Manuel explained. Our Lady said, 'Manuel cannot receive Jesus limping.' So Our Lady interceded for him and made him well. Thank you, Mother, Lady of my heart." It was precisely when he received the Holy Eucharist for the first time his regular talks with Jesus began. Every time the child received the body of Christ, he fell into deep contemplation. If he were in church, he would lie down on the carpet at the foot of the altar. Picture this, everyone. When he was bedridden because of his treatments or pain, he covered himself with a sheet right up to his face. When he reemerged, the child would report with the utmost reserve to his mother or to his two spiritual fathers, Father Ignacio and the Carmelite priest, Friar Father Joseph. His conversations with Jesus, which later became more and more frequent, reached impressive levels. It is difficult to decipher and even believe that this is possible in such a small child, and yet they happened. Right after communion, on this august morning, Manuel had just received the consecrated host. After Thanksgiving, he said to his mother, "In communion, Jesus told me a beautiful phrase." I love this. "Your heart is not yours, but mine. I live in you." Then he added, "I didn't understand these words well. Can you explain them to me?" His mother didn't know how to answer, her head being bombarded by 1,000 questions. What was happening to her son? In that instant, she could only recite the enlightening phrase of St. Paul, "It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me." Galatians chapter 2, verse 20. The need to be with Jesus became so all-consuming that Manuel begged the bishop that he wanted to have Jesus in his home. "In this way, I can adore him wherever I want. Don't worry, there is a place for the tabernacle," he told the bishop. Despite his insistence, his request could not be granted, but Manuel found consolation in the immense happiness of being able to serve Mass in the Curia Chapel, vested in his first Holy Communion tonic. Some time later, he made a heartfelt plea, "Bishop, could you please tell your priest to get everyone used to at least 5 minutes of silence after Holy Communion so they can speak and listen to Jesus in their hearts. Little 6-year-old boy telling us. Think of the last person to take Holy Communion. He doesn't even have time to say hello to Jesus. What a great message to our world, to our church. He would go on to explain why in a letter the little boy felt the urgency to write to everyone, friends, and not with the wisdom of theologians or the authority of men of God. He wrote, Jesus is present in the Holy Eucharist. He lets himself be seen and felt in Holy Communion. Do you not believe? Try to concentrate without getting distracted. Close your eyes, pray and speak, because Jesus will listen to you and speak to your heart. Do not open your eyes immediately, because this communication is interrupted and never returns. Learn to be silent, and something wonderful will happen. I like his line. A balm of grace, the life of God in us. Father Ignacio and Father Manuel's spiritual fathers recounted, after Holy Communion, he burst into tears and confided to his mother, and then wrote to me what Jesus had told him. We asked him what was wrong with him, since he was crying, and he told us that Jesus had given him a specific gift, and he was crying because he was happy. Jesus had given him 2 thorns from his crown, and now he had them on his head. I was shocked to hear this, because this is humanly inexplicable. Then there was a perfect coincidence of the 2 events. 2 tumors masked on his head and on 2 thorns from Jesus' crown. They had been given to him on his head. Remember redemptive suffering. Wow. And yet, in spite of his great pain and suffering, his friends hardly ever heard him complain. He repeated to everyone that he was well, and even in his worst condition, he always found a reason to give thanks. The child radiated joy, hope, and praise, and love for life. He fought with a smile. Wow! He was on the cross. The last days arrived in his agony. His hemoglobin levels dropped to an all-time low. The doctors even stopped transfusions. It was the sign of a total capitulation. Nevertheless, the warrior's heart continued to beat for 4 days, to the amazement of the doctors. His mother immediately understood. Manuel, you have made another pact with Jesus, haven't you? The little boy nodded, yes. He had evidently offered his last drops of life for someone whose name no one will ever know. He arranged every detail with his mother. On that day of his death, he would wear the tunic of his first Holy Communion. Instead of a pillow on his head, he would rest on the Bible, open to the passage from Jeremiah, where it is written, Heal me, Lord, and I shall be healed. Save me, and I shall be saved, for thou art my praise. That's Jeremiah 17:14. He also told her she should not weep, or rather no one should lose themselves in weeping and clamor, but that everyone should gather together in prayer, so that his funeral may reflect the great feast that he will experience in heaven. Those heavens that are more open to us on earth than we can imagine, referring to the Eucharist. On July 20th, 2010, Manuel was born into heaven. Now this is Holy Week 2020. Tomorrow is Holy Thursday, commemorating the institution of the Holy Eucharist and the priesthood. I hope this story inspires you to fall deep in love with Jesus and the Holy Eucharist, and gives you an inspiration to realize that when we're at Mass, we're at Calvary, that we're present mystically. And act like that when we're at church at Mass. And I will say this. Every Mass you go to, think of it being as your last Mass on earth. And you'll never be bored at Mass when you understand what takes place. This is Terry Barber from Virgin Most Powerful Radio. Tune into our shows by going to vmpr.org. And I look forward to hearing from you. God love you.